Ling Han could not help but let a smile curve his lips as he glanced at the seat, his voice calm yet carrying a hidden amusement. "Are you sure you desire this seat?" he asked. "Humph, this was originally mine," Jin Wuji replied, his words dripping with cold arrogance. "Very well, since you so desire it, I shall concede it to you," Ling Han said, rising gracefully, his actions sincere yet carrying an unspoken air of indifference. "Pooh!" A chorus of shocked gasps rippled through the crowd, their eyes wide with disbelief. The contrast between Ling Han's earlier defiance and this sudden concession was too stark to ignore. Just moments ago, Ling Han had boldly struck down a disciple of a master in sword arts and alchemy, right before the eyes of the first prince. And now, here he was, yielding to Jin Wuji's demand. It was unthinkable, utterly baffling. The crowd was not the only one struck with confusion. Lu Yutong, too, found herself utterly perplexed. Ling Han had always left a powerful impression on her, calm and composed, yet prouder than anyone she had ever met. How could this proud young man possibly bow to Jin Wuji? She knew well that if a fight broke out, she herself was more than capable of facing Jin Wuji. And even if the Jin clan intervened, surely Ling Han had the formidable backing of Heaven's Medicine Pavilion. Who in Rain Country would dare challenge such an esteemed power? Heaven's Medicine Pavilion was not merely a local force. It spanned across the 9 countries of the desolate north. Its wealth and influence were unparalleled, and its martial arts supporters were numerous, each more skilled than the last. Zhu Heixin had shown unwavering respect for Ling Han, nearly recognizing him as a master. If the Jin clan dared to lay hands on Ling Han, Heaven's Medicine Pavilion's influence in Rain Country would crush them into the dust. With such power behind him, what reason did Ling Han have to fear? Ling Han, undeterred by the stares, extended his arm, pulling Lu Yutong close. Her delicate face flushed a deep crimson, a stark contrast to her usual icy demeanor, leaving the surrounding onlookers seething with jealousy. Many of them could not suppress the urge to lash out, their eyes burning with envy as they glared at Ling Han's arm wrapped around Lu Yutong's waist. Lu Yutong, caught in the moment, felt a warmth bloom in her chest, her mind a swirling fog as she followed Ling Han to a table further back. Even after Ling Han withdrew his arm, her heart raced in her chest, unable to regain its calm. "Wait and watch. We'll see a fine spectacle soon enough," Ling Han whispered into her ear. Lu Yutong froze at his words, her eyes widening. "What spectacle?" Ling Han's lips curved in a mischievous smile. "Do you not recall that Guo something from before went off to fetch reinforcements? You plan to trick Jin Wuji?" Lu Yutong's eyes narrowed in understanding. Ling Han's smile deepened. "I already asked him if he truly wanted that seat. He agreed, so it has nothing to do with me." Lu Yutong pursed her lips in a delicate smile before her brow furrowed slightly. Duanmu Changfeng couldn't have been so rash, could he? By now, he has bottled up his rage from yesterday. When Guo whatever returns, he will surely embellish the tale, and the old man's anger will reach new heights. And as for when I thrashed that Guo whatever, I acted without a word. Ling Han chuckled. The old man will certainly be enraged, and that will work to our advantage. Lu Yutong's brows knitted with concern. When Duanmu Changfeng realizes he has punished the wrong person, he will focus all his ire on you. Ling Han's expression softened into a confident smile. By that time, Zhu Heixin and Zhang Weishan will likely have arrived. Even if they haven't, I have my own ways of handling the old man, he said, his voice steady with certainty. From his conversations with Zhu Heixin, Ling Han had learned much about Duanmu Changfeng. The old man was a master in both sword arts and alchemy, practicing the sweeping cloud sword arts, a low-tier black-grade technique. However, he had only mastered 7 of its 9 moves due to the incomplete manual he had obtained. Ling Han, by contrast, possessed the complete sweeping cloud sword arts. It was clear who held the advantage. Lu Yutong's heart fluttered with excitement. Ling Han's influence was undeniably powerful, and she could not suppress the look of eager anticipation that appeared on her face. Meanwhile, Ling Han's lack of moral backbone left the other guests feeling ashamed to be seen in his company. No one dared to speak with him, and Jin Wuxiang turned his head repeatedly, his expression laced with disdain. He had expected Ling Han to resist, thus giving his elder brother an excuse to punish him severely. Instead, Ling Han had chosen to yield, leaving Jin Wuxiang in confusion. You think you can escape just like this? Jin Wuxiang thought bitterly, his gaze darkening. After the banquet concluded, and Ling Han had slipped from the scene, Jin Wuxiang would seek to rally support from the other guests. No doubt the fourth prince would side with Jin Wuji, giving the brothers an opportunity to teach Ling Han a harsh lesson. Ling Han's capitulation was something that even Qi Yongye had not anticipated. Now, Qi too looked down on Ling Han, abandoning any further interest in him and returning to his original plans. Master, there he is! A voice filled with fury broke through the air as Guo Dingquan stormed into the main hall, his finger pointing directly at Ling Han. Everyone turned to look, their gazes following the furious figure of an old man in a gray robe, a sword strapped to his back. In a blur of motion, he rushed forward, landing beside Jin Wuji. With a forceful grasp, he seized Jin Wuji by the neck and slammed him down. Pang! The shock of the impact split the table in two, sending wine and food scattering across the floor, splattering over Jin Wuji's face in a mess of wine and gravy. This was an uninvited calamity, a disaster Jin Wuji had never foreseen. He had never imagined that someone would dare to attack him, let alone someone with such overwhelming strength. In the chaos, he found himself utterly powerless to defend himself, subjected to this humiliating fate. Ha 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 ha! You were so arrogant, weren't you? Try being arrogant now. Guo Dingquan laughed, his fury evident as he delivered a few brutal kicks to Jin Wuji's backside. Jin Wuxiang, momentarily stunned, shouted, "Why are you beating him up?" His voice was filled with grievance. The Jin brothers had always been the ones to bully others, but today it was they who were being assaulted by strangers. Jin Wuxiang was so shocked he couldn't even react in time. Guo Dingquan, glancing briefly at Jin Wuxiang, paid no mind to the unfamiliar face. He continued his violent assault on Jin Wuji without hesitation. The crowd quickly realized the truth. Guo Dingquan had brought his master, Duanmu Changfeng, renowned for his skills in both sword arts and alchemy, but had struck the wrong target. Poor Jin Wuji, beaten for no reason at all, must have been cursing his fate in that moment. Now it became clear why Ling Han had yielded the seat earlier. He had set this trap with meticulous care. The realization dawned on the crowd, and laughter began to ripple through the room. It started quietly, but soon grew louder as more and more guests laughed at the unfolding absurdity. Finally, Guo Dingquan halted, realizing his mistake. He turned Jin Wuji to face him, and was taken aback when he saw the unfamiliar face, now covered in wine and gravy. He froze, confused. "Who are you?" "Pooh!" Jin Wuji, enraged, spat out a mouthful of blood. His fury boiled over. "You don't even know who I am, and you beat me up? You dared to humiliate me so?" His mind raced, struggling to comprehend the identity of his attacker. "No matter who you are, I will make you pay for this." Jin Wuji bellowed, his voice trembling with fury. Translator, Dark Angel. Editor, Kurisu. This is not the person who had thrashed you. Duanmu Changfeng was startled, his eyes narrowing in displeasure. If this is not the one, then why did you point to him upon entering? No. Guo Dingquan was equally vexed. If this was not Ling Han, then why was this person sitting in his place? His gaze turned to Jin Wuji. Where is the person who was seated here before? Jin Wuji's face darkened as realization struck him like a blow. He had been ensnared in Ling Han's trap. This brat had dared to offend them, and by chance he had been forced to relinquish his seat. In turn, Ling Han had cleverly set this trap, causing Jin Wuji to suffer bitterly. That cursed little beast! "Ling Han!" Jin Wuji roared in fury, his voice booming through the hall. "Get out here! I will end you!" Ling Han's name sparked an immediate shift in Duanmu Changfeng. A wave of killing intent surged within him, the mere mention of this name reminding him of the great humiliation he had endured. An experienced fox like him knew instantly that he and Jin Wuji had been played by this young man. "Shua!" The crowd's gaze shifted in unison to the one being called out. Ling Han sat unruffled, not the slightest hint of unease crossing his features, even with the heavy weight of so many eyes on him. He casually took a sip of wine, his thoughts drifting. The wine here, though termed excellent, was nothing compared to the finest wines he had enjoyed in his past life. Jin Wuji's thirst for vengeance against Guo Dingquan vanished as he saw the latter standing by Duanmu Changfeng, a warrior of gushing spring tear. His heart sank at the thought of confronting someone so far above him in strength. His fists clenched, blood from his previous wounds dripping from his twisted face, his features contorted in fury, a visage almost too grotesque to behold. "Ah, you've played us!" Jin Wuxiang screamed, his finger trembling as he pointed at Ling Han. The truth finally dawned on him. "Ha ha!" Laughter erupted from the onlookers, unable to contain their amusement. It seemed Jin Wuxiang was nothing more than a fool, his lack of wit a stark contrast to the cunning of his brother Jin Wuji. "You truly have guts!" Duanmu Changfeng's tone turned dark. The young man before him had managed to deceive even himself. It was clear that Ling Han had no fear of death. Upon hearing Duanmu Changfeng's words, Jin Wuji fell silent. This man, a true expert of gushing spring tear, had power that far surpassed his own, and in the face of such a formidable presence, even his desire for revenge had to be postponed. With long strides, Duanmu Changfeng approached Ling Han, his eyes cold as winter's frost. His decision was already made. Even if Zhu Heixin and Zhang Weishan appeared now, he would not spare this impudent youth. Guo Dingquan followed close behind, his lips curled into a cold smile. This brat had dared to deceive even his master. He would not escape retribution. With every step Duanmu Changfeng took, the floor beneath seemed to tremble, a silent testament to the seething fury building within him. His wrath was so palpable that even Qi Yongye, the fourth prince, dared not speak in defense of Ling Han. What would Ling Han do now? His actions thus far had been nothing short of brilliant, a well-played trap for both Duanmu Changfeng and Jin Wuji. However, neither of them were mere opponents to be dismissed lightly, and no matter how crafty Ling Han might be, the consequences of angering such powerful figures could not be underestimated. The crowd watched with bated breath, intrigued by what would unfold next. The calmness in Ling Han's demeanor gave no hint of what he might do. Lu Yutong rose, stepping protectively in front of Ling Han, but before she could even set her stance, Ling Han gently pushed her aside. His voice remained cool as he spoke. The four winds rise, clouds in the heavens thrown into disorder. The tiger and crane both appear, creating invincibility. Gee! Duanmu Changfeng froze, as though struck by a thunderbolt. His face paled, his eyes widening in disbelief, but soon an unmistakable excitement ignited within him. He trembled slightly with anticipation. The words Ling Han had just spoken were the verbal chant of the 8th move from the Sweeping Cloud Sword Arts. Sweeping Cloud Sword Arts, a black-grade medium-level martial technique, a secret he had acquired from an ancient scroll. The scroll had deteriorated with age, leaving only the verbal chant and an illustration of the 8th move. The final 2 moves were lost to time, with no traces left behind. This technique was so powerful that even though Duanmu Changfeng stood at the 3rd layer of gushing spring tear, he felt confident in his ability to defeat Zhu Heixin and Zhang Weishan, should they ever attempt to challenge him together. And yet his greatest desire was to complete his understanding of the sweeping cloud sword arts by acquiring the last 2 moves. So when Ling Han recited that chant, how could Duanmu Changfeng not be moved with excitement? You know it? Duanmu Changfeng stammered, his voice faltering. Naturally, Ling Han replied, a casual smile curling his lips. Will you teach me? The elder's face was filled with desperate hope, his voice trembling with eagerness. Ling Han smiled and answered, that will depend on your performance. Without the slightest hesitation, Duanmu Changfeng nodded eagerly. Anything you wish. Whether it is alchemical pills or cultivation resources, I will provide them for you. Sai! The crowd stood dumbstruck. Just moments ago, Duanmu Changfeng seemed intent on ending Ling Han's life, yet now he was completely changed, offering to fulfill any demand from the very person he had planned to kill. Was this some kind of sorcery? Master? Guo Dingquan's voice cracked with panic. What kind of demonic art had this brat unleashed upon them? Ling Han pointed casually at Jin Wuji and his brother, then turned his finger to Guo Dingquan, saying, These 3 are a thorn in my side. Very well. Duanmu Changfeng understood instantly, the meaning of Ling Han's words clear. Without a word, he seized Guo Dingquan with ease, and in a flash appeared before the Jin brothers. A single push sent them crashing to the ground, their bodies unable to resist the sheer force. Peng, 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 peng! Duanmu Changfeng unleashed a series of brutal blows. his fists and feet raining down on the three men, showing no mercy. The crowd stood in stunned silence, their gazes locked on Ling Han, the master of gushing spring tear, a figure of immense power and prestige, was reduced to a mere pawn, executing Ling Han's will without hesitation. The Jin brothers were crushed beneath Duanmu Changfeng's fury, their bodies battered and broken, their spirits utterly defeated. Qi Yongye's face twitched in disbelief. From the moment he saw Lu Yutong accompany Ling Han, he had known this man was no ordinary youth, but to witness his utter domination over Duanmu Changfeng was beyond his imagination. Duanmu Changfeng was not just a powerful gushing spring tier warrior, he was also a black-grade low-level alchemist, known throughout the Rain Country. Even a spiritual ocean-tier martial artist would treat him with deference. But now, it was as if Duanmu Changfeng had become Ling Han's servant, bowing to his every command. What had happened to his pride as an alchemist, his dignity as a warrior? The first prince, watching from afar, saw an opportunity unfold before him. If he could secure Duanmu Changfeng's allegiance, his path to the throne would be guaranteed, his power unchallenged. Later, when Zhu Heixin and Jiang Weishan arrived, they found a sight that bewildered them. Duanmu Changfeng was mercilessly beating his own disciple and the Jin brothers, while Ling Han sat calmly drinking wine and eating, as though nothing out of the ordinary had occurred. What kind of game was this?